Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the original podcast. I'm Chris Pajak, joined by Sam Walker and Luke Fiore for this one. We've got three big topics to discuss with you today. First, the title of the video, there is a league title to be won. We'll be talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold. We'll be talking about the rest of the season in the league, the games, Arsenal, everything. We'll be talking about Everton in the Merseyside Derby, and we'll be talking about the Liverpool squad and looking ahead to the summer as well. But before we get into it, I do have to tell you that we've got an Irish tour next month. So in Dublin on the 23rd, Belfast on the 24th and Cork on the 25th. If you came to the shows last year in Dublin and Belfast, I recommend you coming back because hopefully we'll be talking about Liverpool winning a league title this time around, which we thought maybe would have been the case last season as well. This season it's looking more likely. So yeah, get your tickets from ticketmaster.ie for Dublin and Belfast and eventbrite.ie for Cork. It's nearly payday, or it's just been payday, so get your tickets in now and come and see us. We'll be having a bevy in Ireland, and we know that you like a bevy as well, so that'll be fun. Also, we've got a half-price code for a yearly captain subscription. If you use the code POD, that's P-O-D, you can get yourself 50% off a yearly captain subscription. But let's get into it. There is a league title to be won, Sam Walker. We can't let the Trent Alexander-Arnold stuff derail us. But I haven't spoke to you about the Trent stuff, actually. So how were you feeling about it all last week?
Disappointed, upset, angry. All of those things. I've listened to quite a few bits from these shows, actually, and others online, and bits of everything just to try and grasp other people's sort of opinions on it. And I'm the opposite mindset to those that are sort of like, oh, let him go off and you know, live his life. And it's not about him leaving Liverpool. It's how and why. That and from what we know, by the way, because it's interesting, some of the stories today, but it seems to me as though...
Are you referencing the Stephen Warnock one where he says we're not out of this yet, we could still sign him?
I'm referencing more the point that I think it feels to me that Trent wants to be paid like a superstar at Liverpool, and he's currently not. I'm surplus to what Transfer or whatever, you know, all them websites say, and that they're never right, is that he wants paying to be a top Liverpool player, and maybe he isn't at the moment, and maybe we haven't given him exactly what is being sort of alleged that we've offered him. Sorry.
So it's about money, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's about money, and maybe well, there's a few bits going on, and maybe Real Madrid are, and there comes a point where yes, so if all of that is true, it does maybe swing it back towards the middle, but then that could also be the PR backlash coming back the other way. Well, hang on, you're slagging Trent off for leaving, but Liverpool are paying him still like he's a middle squad player, which actually should be at the top. I don't know. There's just some of the sort of theories being floated around, some of the stuff coming out of their camp. My view of it is that from the minute he signed the 4-year contract, I was concerned, why not 6? You know, everybody else signed 6. Alisson did. Everyone, you know, there's that. There's the fact that I've never ever seen a player ever in football be at a top club who are at the peak of their careers, have won what he's won, known what we're capable of. The club itself is peaking on and off the pitch, or definitely in and around that peak, and walking away for nothing. But the money, I suppose, doesn't really matter. I've never seen a player do that ever to their homegrown club. And you get Man United lost Cristiano Ronaldo, mate. He weren't a mank. You know, all these. Henry left Arsenal. He weren't a Cockney or whatever the Gaguna. He wasn't. He was from France. So this is unprecedented if it happens. There's never been a player leave a club at the peak of their career, at the peak of the club's time in the modern era, to go to another club when they're being offered to be weighed in and all that. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I'm angry. Is I feel like it's just odd. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it all.
What about you, Luke?
So I'm a bit like you, trying to sample everybody's opinion. Sort of like to try and formulate your own. I feel like that's sometimes what you got to do, because if you listen to both sides of the argument, I think then you can start to formulate your own opinion. I'm siding over here, and I feel like it's a bit of a betrayal. I'm quite angry about it. I'm also a little bit hopeful because what we seen last night, the night before, they were all sort of gathered around at Mo Salah's house. Let's hope they're all getting onto him and saying what's going on, because as far as we know, nothing's signed yet. Everything's allegedly, everything's reported, but nothing's sort of set in stone. With the transfer laws, when he signs it, Madrid have got to notify Liverpool.
Yeah.
Then if Liverpool notify the fans, that's a different question. So it could be signed now, it might not be signed, we don't know. I think if Liverpool don't notify the fans as soon as they know, that might come back around to bite the club, sort of on the backside a bit, because everyone wants to know, everyone wants to sort of be linked in with the situation, because there's an argument here that if it is already signed, he doesn't play another game, and that's how the fans feel about it. I don't think it's a money thing. Obviously, like I said, everything's allegedly reported. The alleged reports are he'd be the highest paid English player in the league. You're looking there over 300,000, 1.2, 1.3 million a month.
I don't think that. I thought that, but I'm told it's not true now.
Yeah.
And that it's just all agents and stuff. You just hearing different things from in and around it all, and it seems as though it's hard to decipher. You almost have to ask the players directly, because I think there's a lot of numbers being lashed about, and even when you think you're in the know because you hear from someone who's quite on it, very often they're wrong.
Am I right in saying Salah's got his own image rights at the moment? I wonder if that could be part and parcel of it, because it's all well and good talking about like a weekly salary, but if you don't own your image rights, then you're nowhere near what some of the high earners are, I suppose, isn't it? Where I sort of sit with it all is I feel like we've had a dagger in our sort of stomachs, you know what I mean? I think. But yeah, I've said all season long, I don't think he warrants the astronomical wages that he is sort of after, which is mad, because I think owned by who we're owned by and how we spend money, and this isn't one way or the other about FSG for me at the moment, but 300 grand a week for a right back that gets you 15 assists is like proper centre forward money, where I would be expecting 45 goals and assists for 300 grand a week. And that's kind of where I've been all season with it, Luke, is like, I feel betrayed because he's a Scouser, and because I know Liverpool have offered him contracts. What they are, I don't know. So clearly they feel slightly differently to me, but I'm like, that's your centre forward money, surely.
Yeah, and I think that's what's hard to take a little bit, I think, because you've got to sort of justify at one point when does means come to an end, when's enough, and like, you know, if you put him 340, 350 in front of a right back, they're going to have to start delivering goals and assists, and like he was under Klopp. But in this system, he's probably not going to do that. So it's one of them. It's a yin and a yang. It's sort of a gamble, really, because if he eats up all that money, and then we want to bring in a big centre forward, and we also retain the other two, where's the money on the table? You know, we're starting to take away the wage structure then and sort of deconstruct it, and we'll end up in a period a bit like Man United, where you've got lads on 7-8 year deals making stupid money, and half of them aren't very good at football. You know, they don't fit the system. You've got them tied down for 6 years, and you pay. For example, you know, we get the job done. We tie Trent down for another 6 years, paying him 340. Then all of a sudden his legs fall off for 3 years to go, and he's not offering them goals and assists from right back. We've still got to pay him,
and there's no sell-on value. He's a right back.
Yeah,
and he's a Liverpool.
That's what's adding to it, though. He's the most valuable asset at the club. So the fact we're not getting a fee for him,
is he though?
I think he is. He's the most valuable playing asset at the club. Like in terms of value, in terms of pure money, no one's paying the money for anyone. The money you get from Mohamed Salah or Virgil van Dijk's nowhere near that of Alexander-Arnold, because of the uptick in potential. He's only 26.
Who's going to pay for him though? Because he's a right back. This is the thing with us. We're a unique side that we have a right back who's fantastic, and I think other clubs like Chelsea's, Arsenal's, City's, etc., even Real Madrid, because they're trying to sign him on a free, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
If there's suddenly a 50, 60, 70 million pound price tag plus wages on a player like Trent, in theory he's worth that much, but to a football team, like Chris's point, are you going to pay centre forward fees or wages for him, and both? Like I said, the theory of him being our most valuable asset is in a way true, but the practicality of someone actually going and spending that money on him when they need to buy a midfielder, they've got the European PSR in place. I don't actually know if it's true. What would somebody pay for Trent and, you know, $250 a week? What would the club actually pay?
That's where I think Luke's probably right for me, because you're not going to get it for Salah because of his age. You're not going to get as big a fee for Van Dijk because of his age. So I think when you actually consider that he's 26, I think you'd still get more for Trent money-wise because of his age than the other two, even though you might get more points for signing one of the others. Yeah. And I think that's where Liverpool have to have that sort of balance as well, isn't it? I mean, the analytics guys know for a fact, like, when we buy this guy, he's going to add this many points to us.
Yeah.
If we lose Trent, how many points are we losing?
Yeah.
If you sign a centre forward, how many points are we gaining? And it's that balance for me where Liverpool are at the moment and stuff. But anyway, I didn't want to get into the Trent
it's so
stuff
easy
too
with
much.
the Trent,
But it's so true, isn't it? And we've had a super chat here which moves us on nicely from Martin. He just says, I'm happy Trent has run down his contract and leaves for free. No. Will I let it stop me enjoying the running? No. The club is always more important. And that's kind of... It's spot on, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely spot on. So we can't let this derail us then, Sam, can we? Because, him being injured is probably a little bit of a blessing in disguise at the moment, because if he was playing Wednesday night against Everton, be a weird atmosphere, I reckon.
Yeah, and to be honest, without going too far backwards, I don't think we would have heard what we've heard if he wasn't injured. I think it would have been kept under the lid. I don't think it matters, genuinely. I don't think this is anything new to the team, to the manager. I think they anything that we've heard, they've heard before and know probably. So I don't think it matters to them. It's on job. And even for the boy himself, even if he is playing now, he's got a title to win. He's got a medal that he needs to earn for the club he has played for and is playing for. So it doesn't matter. I think the Reds need to wash away the noise. And I think previously when we've had noises of doubles and trebles and stuff like that, it has played them. We played Southampton and it was a little bit of a subdued game and atmosphere because we thought about bigger things. There is no bigger thing now. Everton's arguably the biggest game of our season because it's a massive rival at home, an opportunity to go within 8 games and 12 points clear.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? 12 points ahead of Arsenal with 5 wins and a draw away from winning this Premier League. We only need 16 of 27 that are available. Everything is now just on this, and once we get this midweek game out the way, that's it. It's weekends. We can focus on it, like Sam said. There's no more competitions to draw our eye. We just got to go as hard as we can for as long as we can. Yeah,
we just got to nail down and just keep ourselves going. I don't like the argument of, I was on Total Sports, by the way. Have a look on Thursday night, and there's an argument are Liverpool complacent? Is it creeping in now? Good football teams lose games of football. Of know what I mean? We've lost 2 games of footy, and people's heads are falling off, and Liverpool lost it. We're not creative, we have been all season. The best teams in the world can lose games of football, and we were second best in both of them games, and rightfully we lost them. But just because we lost 2 games doesn't now mean we're a bad side. We're a side that's 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League and been brilliant all season. There's already narratives being put in place about Arsenal playing before us quite a lot, so they can have the closing gap stuff. Looking into that, I'm sure we'll have a chat about it later. But it's one of them. We need to try and get a win here. Just put them out the water 3-4-0 and try and silence all the media and the talk. One of the greatest arguments I heard in the middle of the week was Everton are 10 undefeated and Liverpool have lost the last 2 games. Everton aren't 10 undefeated because they got beaten in the FA Cup.
Exactly.
So the 6 undefeated. And if you take away Liverpool's cup games, we're undefeated in 25. So you got to break the stats down like that and just
spot on. Yeah. No, look, the derby at home is different to the derby away. Them lot in there can go on all this, that, the other. It's just 2 totally different prospects altogether. So, it's an opportunity for us. Win our home games, you win the league. Yeah.
Oh, listen, I've got the Optus stuff in front of me now, right? And it's going to scare the living daylight out of a lot of people. But we've got a 99.1% chance, according to the supercomputer, of winning the Premier League. We've got a 0.9% chance of finishing second, and we can't finish anywhere else, according to this. Yeah. Basically, the supercomputer's saying it's first or second, but it's most likely first. And that goes the other way. Obviously, 0.9% for Arsenal to win it, 93.3% for them to finish second. So in terms of where we are at this stage of the season right now, is there a shot in XG terms that's a 99.1% chance of going in? Because a pen's 0.79, so 79%, right? And this argument was said to me a few weeks ago from Josh, who I do the deep dive with. Do you celebrate a penalty? It's yeah, you do. Why? Because in your head, there's more chance of your team scoring from a penalty than any other situation on the pitch. Liverpool have got a 20% better chance of winning the league than of scoring a penalty at the moment. So, I know it's going to scare you, and I know it's all that type of stuff, but it's a mad high percentage that Liverpool have got of winning the league.
In XG, this is like Messi beating the keeper. The keeper's still outside the box. He's running in the box. He's just past the penalty spot, and he's just stopped on the 6-yard line. That's where we are, yeah.
To head it in.
Yeah, literally, that's where we are. And look, people have missed in the past. Do you know what I mean? I played the game on Saturday in the Vets, mate, and we got battered, but the team missed an absolute open goal. It can happen. But honestly, I think you're spot on there. We're just a bit scarred. If we're where we are next season now, we've already planned our celebrations where we're going to be everyone's booked off it, but it's just because we haven't got it in the bank.
Yeah,
we're still a bit worried, aren't we? Am I right in saying if we win this weekend, this week, there's a world where City can't be champions anymore? I think they might have to drop points this week, but I'm sure within the next couple of games, City are officially no longer champions.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
There's like
just knock that off
that's massive though, isn't it? Because they're the biggest, stress, aren't they?
It just feel you a little bit more confidence for it, and I think just a touching factor is like if we were Man City, we'd just be sitting here like, hey, we've won the league now. It's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just because we've been so close and been heartbroken so many times.
And because of the Trent Alexander-Arnold stuff as well. And all that and everything making you feel worse.
And
it's like we're supposed to be, this last season, we just don't know how to feel. Ultimately, we've been fucking magnificent. And yet we feel a bit shit because we lost in a cup final and we went out of the European Cup. But I think, as soon as you start talking about trebles and quadruples, that's normally when it goes and ends, isn't it? I've got some of the fixtures up in front of me now. Some of the dates might not be exactly right because I haven't updated it fully. But so we've obviously got Arsenal on the 2nd. Arsenal play Fulham tomorrow night ahead of us. Then Arsenal go to Everton before the Grand National. They're the 12:30 kickoff, aren't they, on Saturday, while we go on the Sunday to Fulham. Then I look at it and go, well, actually, those Real Madrid games for Arsenal look tasty, don't they, around the Brentford game and stuff like that. Those extra games could now become a headache for them, especially if they do want it. But they've got a tough run in. You look at Bournemouth, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle as 3 of the last 4 games. We know we've got that Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal run ourselves. So it's just make sure it gets done before that, isn't it? Are there any teams on there, Luke, where you think, they might do us a favour here? Because I think some people would think Everton, but I think they're going to just roll over and tick on my belly.
No, I think Everton might do us a little favour, I reckon they will.
Really?
Yeah, I reckon they want the points. I reckon last season at Goodison...
They're not going to listen to you and do it.
Last season at Goodison, they want as many wins as they can, don't they? Yeah. And I think last season's a different story because they still got a year left. I think they want to celebrate every moment they can. I reckon they'll give them a good game. And Everton are undefeated in 10, by the way. So...
But how many of them are draws, by the way? Because they just seem to draw.
7 of them are draws. I think in the 10 league games. So.
It's mad, that, isn't it? The way that they've started drawing and stuff like that.
It's the game before the Real Madrid game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So again, it's like the thing with the Everton game is, all right, if we go and get beat by Everton, it changes things a little bit. But the thing with the Everton game is that for them, the Goodison thing's a massive factor, of course it is. But also, their fans won't feel like they're doing Liverpool a favour. At all, because the gap's there. It's irrelevant now. If they beat Arsenal, so what? And if we were to beat Fulham, it doesn't matter.
It's not Everton handing Liverpool.
It's not like when they got rolled over and the bellies tickled by City that year. We got 97 points, and then they turned up and gave us the war, and we drew 0-0. It's not like that where they dictated by their performance to results, which is what happened. This is like, it don't matter. You could get beat 15-0 in the first half and call it quits, send the fans home, and it won't make a difference. We will still be the masters of our own destiny. So I think that game's different than it usually is. What
about Fulham tomorrow then, Sam?
It's a challenge. I think, I know they're saying Saka's back, but I don't think Arsenal have been fantastic. They beat Chelsea 1-0. We saw some of it. Don't remember all of it, but we saw some of it, didn't we? And
I didn't remember the results.
Apparently it was an awful game, but I don't think Arsenal are flying at the minute. They're not.
No, they just can't score goals, can they? And that has to be said. You know what I mean? You say that after they come off the back of a massive win in the last European round, but I think it's just one of them. Sometimes you get lucky and get one of them. We've seen that when we beat Porto a couple of times.
We beat Man U 7, the other one got beat by Bournemouth.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just get a little bit of luck like that, don't you? A bit of rub of the green. I don't know. I just think they should have brought a sense forward in January, Arsenal. They wanted to stay closer to us, and I think, if I'm honest, sometimes you panic buying January, don't you?
Yeah.
But I think they should have brought in maybe Marcus Rashford because they knew he was there to go and just have an extra forward option. You know what I mean?
Now it looks like they should have just done it, shouldn't they? I mean, Havertz for them is the biggest loss. I know we've got talked about this, but I just think he's huge for that, the way he works in there. And I don't know, I think he's out for the season, isn't he? Yeah. So they've got Saka back in, but he'll be on the bench more than likely. I say it's mentally for them as well. What are they playing for? What are their players going? Do they really believe that Liverpool are going to throw it away?
That's it. Or are they playing for the European Cup?
I think they probably.
Well, I think they play for the European Cup, but that could all fall apart in the next 3 weeks, couldn't it? So you just don't know.
No. So I think both of those games. It's funny how we play them either team and swap sides halfway through, isn't it? I think both of those games could be dangerous for Arsenal if they allow it to be. They should be capable of winning both games, but I would be surprised if they do, actually.
I think Fulham are organised, so I think they'll give them a game, and I think they were really poor on the weekend, so they'll need a bit of a bounce back performance, because the Fulham have played the weekend, they've rarely played like that all season, where they've been just torn apart. And I know Palace are a good side going forwards, but usually they're a bit leaky at the back, and they just didn't really create anything at all. So I think Marco Silva will want a bounce back performance, and I think if they don't win there, and then we win on Wednesday night, we'll be back in, it'll be fever pitch again. Everyone will be absolutely buzzing. So,
and that's it, isn't it? It's trying to keep that sort of, those vibes sort of going, isn't it, Sam? Because it feels like we've had this like little lull, and because we haven't played for 17 days or something in between games, it feels well longer. By the way, it feels well longer.
Yeah.
Like, what do normal people do with their lives at the weekend? It's so crap not having football, isn't it?
I convinced myself I was a Bournemouth fan from like lunchtime Friday.
I only watched one of the games.
That was the only game I watched.
I watched the one game and it was the 0-0, and so I watched 2 hours of footy with no goals in it. You know what I mean?
Was that which one was that? With the Forest?
Shootout,
I did see the
one,
shootout, yeah. But I was like literally like, I'm the same as you. I don't know how people get through there.
What did they like schedule their weekends around?
Corrie EastEnders, yeah, must be.
It's mental, mate. Like,
Hollyoaks, our mate.
Hollyoaks, there you go. Big shout out to James Sutton, of course. He nearly joined on the coach last minute. I was like pecking his head. He was in a car and he was like, I think he was close, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure he'll let me know anyway. Next time, I think the four of them will be with us anyway.
Do you think he'll do us good having the break that long?
No. I reckon he just wanted to get
I think
get
the
on
break
with
does
it.
do as well, because just the South American factor, just the lads coming back from international duty.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've got that hangover that we've seen against Forest, what we've all spoken about all season. So
McAllister was crap.
Yeah, he was poor. So he scored as well, didn't he, in the international breaks? Yeah. And obviously Diaz has scored too, so let's just go and win 5-0. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be absolutely lovely. We're going to talk a bit more about the Everton game in full in the next part, actually. But before we do that, I've got a little competition for you. Last chance to get into our monthly legend competition.
Hey you, do you like Liverpool Football Club? Do you love Liverpool signed merchandise? Well, have I got a prize for you this month. It is this absolute beauty. Let's start on the back. Let's show you the front. Yes, $89.90 replica shirt signed by John Barnes. Yes, John Barnes. That shirt can be yours. It's a very simple competition to enter. Head to redmenplus.com, sign up as a legend tier subscriber, and not only will you get full access to all of our amazing suite of content and our exclusive Discord group and discounted and free merchandise, you'll be in the prize draw to win that incredible shirt as well. redmenplus.com, legend tier status. Get on it.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I missed the super chat from Dunbar91, who said Trent's silence has allowed the media to control the narrative. Would it have been palatable if he said he wants a new challenge? He will always love Liverpool. Actually, that's something I wanted to ask earlier on in the show. How do you think he should have handled it, Sam?
I don't think he should have said, I want to negotiate my contract in silence, like I have done for all the others, because that basically tells you that, look, he's looking to sign a new deal and he just wants to get it over the line with Liverpool. Instead, what it looks like he's done is allowed him to leave quietly until now. So that's one of the things for me that really sort of is one of my big bugbears. I don't know. What he should have done is maybe just said something like, look, I'm open to all things. I love Liverpool. Whatever I do will be the best thing for me, and the club, or something like that. Let's maybe left it open, but been like, no, but I will give absolutely every blood, sweat and tear while I'm here. Even if the club sell me in January, I will, put everything on that pitch. Hopefully they don't, but something like that where you swing it both ways. If he was thinking about leaving.
What about you? What would you?
I just think he should have stayed, to be honest. Problem solved.
Well. It's a good one.
No. I think
just sign the damn contract. That's how he should have handled it.
He was naive to think he could do it all behind closed doors, because he was in a bit of a lose-lose, because whatever the way, if he come out and span it that way, the Mars would have spanned the story a different way, because they're just an absolute media machine. So
Madrid, yeah.
he was in a lose-lose whether he's going to go or not. If he wants to leave and he was having doubts after Klopp, he should have just left last summer.
Yeah,
I think that he should have done, because the way he's doing it now, he's just going to turn all the fans against him. So
I think for me, and I know a lot of people will disagree, I think he should have just said, I'll talk about it after the season. That's the next time you hear from me.
That's the answer.
Because I don't want to derail Liverpool's end of season, whatever I do. Like, you know what I mean? So I would have just said, like, if I'm thinking of leaving, I'm going to decide at the end of the season, and then that's that. Like, and then at least the media can stop talking about it, and at least he comes out and basically says to Liverpool fans, it's a really important end to the season. This is how I think we should have approached it. Like, you know what I mean?
That's actually the right answer, I think. Yeah. If I haven't signed the contract, I'll sort it by the end of the year.
Yeah, just forget about it. Like, you know what I mean? But I know people will disagree with that and all that type of stuff. But I think a lot of people seem to be fuming about this gesture as well, don't they? Like, you know, the one where the celebration and stuff like that. Like, and I think everyone's got their own idea. But I mean, it would be remiss of me to talk about it. Like, the club have mishandled this situation. We know the club have mishandled this situation as well. Like, and there are things where you think, what's going on here? Why haven't we got this box? How have we got ourselves into this situation? And we know about, like, Schmacker wasn't brought in to sign contracts and all that type of stuff. But it was a mismanagement from the Edwards era into Julian Ward era into the Schmacker era and all that as well, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. And with it's bizarre because they're two separate things. With Van Dijk and Salah, I think they probably were going to wait as long as they could because of the age factor. And, you know, whether you agree with that or not, that's probably their reasoning. I actually don't know if Trent would have signed the contract in a matter who put it under his nose. I think this was always, looking back now you've got the gift of hindsight. I actually think he was always going to let it come to now to get maximum money. It's all about brand Trent. That's what people on, like, stick to football, and it's like, no, stop. This is all about brand Trent. That's what it's about. Why can't somebody just say that on national TV?
I made this argument on Friday night in an interview.
What's to say?
That I feel like a really good comparison to this, if you look at Steven Gerrard and David Beckham. Steven Gerrard is always the best footballer than David Beckham. I won't take any arguments against it, but David Beckham has got 10 times more media following than Steven Gerrard. And that's shown in his Instagram followers. I think he's on like 85 million or something stupid like that. This is about brand Trent. One, there's going to be a massive signing on fee. Two, there's going to be an agent fee. We know, his family are weighed in and that. And also, he's going to go to Real Madrid, maybe stay there for a bit. Then he might move on and go to Italy or go somewhere else. Yeah. And he's going to dot himself around, get himself maximum exposure, and then end up somewhere in Saudi Arabia or the MLS and have a club on his hands. Yeah. This is about brand Trent.
And just to add to that brand Trent, him and his two brothers own the agency that they raise.
Yeah, they weigh in massively.
If that agency can take Trent Alexander-Arnold at his peak out to Liverpool to Real, other players are going to be like, wow, what a... You know what I mean? It's all about business, but nobody wants to say that on telly. It's like they're all avoiding it. Why can't someone just say this is all about the brand that he's trying to create?
Yeah.
It might be easier to accept.
The club thing's interesting, like owning a club. He owns part of Alpine, Formula One team. So clearly he wants that type of a thing as well in his life. And, he's thinking about his career post-football. Yeah. And so I'm with you. I think it is about brand sense and stuff, but there are still things that, Liverpool should have been able to do that would have maybe mitigated against this. Obviously, a transfer fee is something that I keep hearing people say, like, he should have just signed the contract, and they keep referencing the McAllister thing, and I get that, like, but if he's not going to sign a contract, then it's about agents and it's about getting a big way in from Real Madrid, then you don't sign the contract, do you? And equally, I also kind of think from a worker, an employee style of thing, he's allowed to do it. He's allowed to do it however which way he wants, and he's always going to take preference to getting a transfer fee for somebody else when it means I'm getting the transfer fee. You know what I mean? It's a mad situation, like it really is with Trent, and it's a shame, obviously, that it's kind of come into this.
Just to touch on before we move on, because we need to put it to bed, really. And I don't like when everyone's telling us how to feel about it.
Oh,
you should feel this way. You should feel that way. There's the lad who does Twitter compilations, that Pop Pinkers, does some good compilations, by the way, some good videos. But he put one out the other night about like Trent and how we should be letting him move on freely. And he said something like,
"You do that at your club? Yeah, don't tell us how to be fans of ours."
When the best company in the world come calling, you're going to talk to them. We're the best company in the world. Liverpool Football Club was the best company in the world. You know what I mean? And he's from West Derby. He's not from, South America or somewhere. And we should be the top of his list of clubs in the world. Liverpool should be number one.
Yeah, you can get it when Coutinho or a South American wants to go to Barcelona or Real Madrid. They've been brought up on that. Yeah. Like that's the pinnacle in European football for them. The pinnacle for us as Scousers, as Liverpool fans, is Liverpool Football Club. Yeah. And that's all we're saying. You know what I mean?
And that's why you feel hurt. That says a lot about their fan bases, They're like, oh, well, it's Real Madrid, Real Madrid, we should get them. No, you know what I mean? We like to think here that we're bigger than Real Madrid and we can compete with them. And that's how we want to believe.
We beat them this season, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it says a lot about their mentality.
Yeah, but I think also, and I've said this on a few shows over the last couple of weeks, and even earlier actually, is I think everyone's going down the Real Madrid route in terms of how we're all going to start moving into free transfers.
Yeah.
I think Isak's a really interesting one as well. We're going to talk about him later on in the show and stuff, I'm sure, when we come to the discussing the summer plans. But with financial fair play actually having teeth and everything else now, I think you are going to see clubs, sort of that middle bracket of the Premier League, hold on to their stars for longer because they don't need to sell them and they can't replace them anyway. So they're going to have to, if you sell Isak, for example, for Newcastle, you're going to have to replace him with a £100 million striker to do the business on the football field. And that's kind of it, isn't it? So, you know, why wouldn't you just run the contract down and get Isak at the end of his deal, save yourself £100 million and put him on a big wage and have him then? You know what I mean? I think more Premier League clubs are going to start at basically being Real Madrid. Certainly the top ones in England will start doing it to the mid-tier.
Madrid moved on, like it's 2 years in the works with Trent, but in terms of Madrid building the blueprint, it's like 6 years in the works. Because I feel like they tested it first hand with Alaba and Rudiger.
Yes.
And then they were like, oh, this style works. Let's throw in a big player. Let's throw in Mbappe. And then it worked. You know what I mean?
Tried to get Alphonso
This is
Davies.
it now. They've done the blueprint. It's there. I know they've gone for Alphonso Davies.
He decided to stay, so fair play to him.
Yeah.
What that's going to also flip out is that you're going to get teams like Newcastle, like Bournemouth, like Forest, keeping their players longer. So although they miss out on a 40, 50, 60, 70 pound...
They get the player.
They get the player who wins football matches, who gains more money elsewhere. Yeah. So I agree. The idea this season that the Premier League's not been as good, no, it's been better than ever because Man United and Spurs wouldn't be where they were in a normal season. But because all these other teams are so good because they're keeping the players and because players are developing properly there, they're overtaking the likes of Man U and Spurs. Man U finished 8th last year. They'd probably be, if we had the same set of teams going for it like they have this year. Last year, Man U would have been 12th, 13th. But because the league has improved, you know, we haven't seen Gibbs White get taken from Forest. We haven't seen Semenyo get taken from Bournemouth, all these yet anyway. They've all improved. Brighton improved. And those teams haven't. They fell down. So it's actually harder this year because every game is bleeding a lot harder than it has been. Just because City haven't been on 90 points.
Do you think there's two ways that goes though? So one way it goes is, they keep the superstars for longer. Then the other way it goes is a lot of these teams actually need the transfer money. Like you look at Brighton's model.
But I don't think they do anymore.
To sell to get the transfer fee.
I don't think they do anymore.
No, I don't have.
I think the money in the league now is too big.
Yeah. You look at the top 20 teams, like money, the Deloitte Money League. Like 14 of them from fucking England.
No, I wouldn't know.
Not honestly, I'll see if I can get it up now.
It is, he's right. I've seen it be. It's not new that as well. It's been a while that in the mix. You think Man United are 14th in the league or something like that, and they're like in the top 5. It's crazy.
But they're always up there though in terms of revenue, aren't they? Because I feel like they were that dates back many years ago, probably before I was born, because they were the first to sort of take themselves to be like a global brand, which is like what we sort of try to do since FSG has come in. We've tried to sort of tap into that global market and make ourselves a lot bigger. Any luck, Chris?
Yeah. Okay, so it's I'll get it up on the screen for you. There.
It's a lot, though.
So we're are we the 4th in England? City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool.
That's based on last year's, is it? That'll be a lot higher now. We'll probably be second.
There's no Champions League money there.
West Ham and Villa are in there.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Chelsea.
And you got Chelsea and Tottenham and Liverpool. I mean, it's ridiculous how much money the English clubs are making, like or at least bringing in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know Nottingham Forest, they're like getting up there as well now and all that type of stuff. Newcastle won't be far away. And that's what we've got to compete with every single season now, isn't it? You know, and like West Ham and Villa there, they don't need to sell players. Why do they need to sell players to us? They've got dough coming in. Yeah. They might want to. The difficulty for them is, how do you improve?
Yeah.
How do you get better?
I'll speak the next step.
Yeah, but because they can't poach your Liverpools and your Chelsea players, so they've got to be a bit smarter, which is probably more like a Brighton move or something like that. But they all have dough coming in. Like it is interesting, and I think ultimately this is what FSG wanted. The FSG wanted financial fair play to add teeth, didn't it? I think it makes their model better. But what we want is the best of both worlds. We want someone with huge money to spend and all the analytics, and you know, unfortunately we don't have that at the moment.
I mean, PSI, there's now a ceiling to that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to change it so it's even harder for smaller teams.
True,
it is just going to be the cartel doing the cartel things because they've got. I know it's an Everton thing, like, but it's funny. Like they are just pulling the ladder up on everybody else. They go, well, Liverpool are going to make 700 million a year. West Ham can make 300 when they've won a European Cup.
But they're talking about the 4.5 rule now, though, aren't they?
What's that one?
So the 4.5 rule, it's been going a while actually. So what they're saying is, this is only the Premier League, by the way. UEFA is obviously different because it's European competitions. But what they're saying is, every football club in the Premier League, regardless to their revenue, will be able to spend at a minimum 4.5 times the minimum TV revenue for that year. So say it's 100 million, because it's split, and then you have where you finish, isn't it?
Yeah.
So say it's 100 million for the team that finishes last, 4.5 times, that'll be 450 mil. So regardless to what your revenue is, even if it's 300, you will be able to spend on your wages, transfer fees and agent fees 450 mil. That way, if the top club is, say, Liverpool this year, because I think we might well be this year because City have been knocked out so early in the Champions League, that we might earn 700 million this year or 680 million, and we would only be able to spend, say, 70% of that.
Yeah.
Which is, something like 480, I don't know, million or something like that. Someone else to work out on the chat. We'll be able to spend that much, but the bottom club will be able to spend 450. So if that rule does get passed, it's one of the ones touted. The gap between the top and bottom in terms of ability to spend would be about 50 million. But obviously, to whoever the owners want to spend that solves
where does the you can only lose this amount of money fit in?
It doesn't. The 70%,
okay.
But it gives a baseline. So it's one of the touted rules to stop the cartel. So it stops the top teams overspending, but it allows the bottom teams to compete. Because if you've got an owner like, say, Burnley's owner is mega minted and he can spend loads of money, but he's restricted by their corporate reach and their revenues. So what they're saying is, well, you can't maybe spend as much as a City, Liverpool and Arsenal, but what you can do is spend this much. Now the 4.5 number might change, but if you look it up, it's one of the touted rules. It's been going for a while, to be fair. It's just not been there's nothing been put through yet.
All right, interesting. Anyway, we were supposed to talk about Everton in this part, but thank you for the super chat. Actually, Everton is one of those teams, isn't it, where they've got had the dough and couldn't spend it. I don't know where they are nowadays. We've skirted around it, Luke. It is the biggest of big games this week against Everton.
Yeah, well, it's their last... Well, I say this because they're still going to walk across the park, but it's their last trip across the park where they're probably going to get to use their old boozers, because they're probably all going to... most of them are probably going to close, aren't they? Because they're not going to have that sort of match day revenue anymore, are they? So they're really going to salvage it. I was hopeful that they would have got moved to the weekend. I didn't see the point in keeping this weekend free if we were already out. Like, it would have been great for a Saturday half.
They actually asked for it, but they asked for it to be tomorrow, didn't they?
Yeah. Did you?
Did the
Tuesday they asked for it. Both clubs asked for it. Yeah.
Well, it would have worked out better because we would have more rest for Fulham in it, and we've already had that long break. It's just a shame because, like, I know a lot of people that, I don't know if you do yourself. Like, I have a lot of blue mates, and like people of the old generation, I know, like a large group of them, supposed to be mixed with all the match with. They have a lot of blue mates as well. They like to meet for a pint before the game and after the game, just to have a bit of crack. You know what I mean? And they're not going to be able to do that because they're all going to be at work. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a slap in the face of them, in it, really, because they're going to be the last one. But I'm sure they'll still walk across the park and do all the rest of it in future years to come. But like I said, they're not going to have that same... They're not going to be able to all fall in somewhere, have a few bevies and then get a bit pissed up, walk across the park and have a laugh. You know what I mean? It's not going to be there for them.
It was actually them who asked us, because they're playing half 12 Saturday. We're not till Sunday, so we're all right. It's them who were short in time.
I read something last week that both clubs asked.
Oh,
yeah,
we were the ones with the longer gap. But for them, it's Wednesday
makes
night.
Sense, and we should have. We would have probably allowed that because they're playing Arsenal.
Yeah,
so we'd have been made up for them to have a bigger gap.
Exactly, but yeah, I think though, in terms of up for it, like, I knew they were going to be up for the last one, but I thought we were just better. And I think this time, though, I think they exerted a lot of energy into that home derby. I don't think you can transfer that to an away game at Anfield when we will probably be just as up for it as they were because of different reasons. So I think that it's a big game, but I think once we kick off, there'll be a lot of, see, these are shit, these Reds, we should be beating in your mind because we are better than them. And it is at Anfield. It's just how resolute they are.
I think it could be we are miles better than them anyway, but I think everyone just remembers that last 5-10 minutes. You know what I mean? Because that's what changed the game in them last couple of minutes. I thought for the long periods of the game, I wouldn't say we dominated them, but we controlled it. You know what I mean? Quite easily.
It's important for us, isn't it? Because we just need to set a marker for the rest of the season. Yeah. If the worst were to happen and we lose this game, then everyone's going to start shitting themselves, aren't they? Big time, like, because, you know, the media are going to start talking even more so about how Liverpool are bottling it, and you can see the headlines and stuff already, can't you, in your head about what's going to happen, and then, you know, and then Arsenal probably will have won against Fulham. I'll say that now so that I can sort of jinx it. And then they'll play Everton at the weekend, and then all of a sudden your 12-point gap's a 6-point gap, and pressure changes and everything else, and it's just well more difficult. So just win this game and cross it off and move on. I actually think, don't treat it like a derby. Just don't treat them like any fucking different side. Treat them like any side coming to Anfield and dominate the football and beat them down, because that's what we do best, Sam.
Absolutely, yeah. We're just a stronger team than them all over the park, and, you know, I think for us it's about getting back to doing what we do best, which is creating loads of opportunities, getting Salah on the ball loads, getting him making goals again, scoring goals, being brave, going forward, showing pace, whether it's Diaz, Gakpo, Nunes, whoever's playing, show real pace on the pitch. And, I don't know who's going to play right back, but if it is Bradley back, it's an opportunity for him to show why we're backing him going forward. I just think, yes, Everton are a very resolute side, but we should be winning this game of football, and we shouldn't be conceding goals against these either. They don't score lots and lots of goals, so we should be solid at the back, and we should be looking to just run the game at our pace. It would be nice for us to get out there and really start strongly against them, and so even if we don't score, but really get out there, create some chances, get the crowd up, sort of making them run back towards their own goal from an early
quieting
game.
them down.
I think a key word is pace and urgency, because that's stuff that Liverpool, like the last two performances, we've been really critical. It's like, it looks like we've got no pace, and there was not more evident than that than Paris, because they just looked 10 times quicker than us to absolutely every ball. So we can go out there and show pace. I think that's what wins the game.
Do we have it?
It literally is. But I reckon we can turn it on. I reckon the lads were just knackered, because I reckon Diaz spells the season has shown that he's still got his legs. It's just the last couple of weeks where he hasn't, especially like the early part of the season. He started absolutely on fire, and then he sort of just fell away. I'm hoping international break he scored 2. He's going to come back and just be boss.
He needed that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
So did Gakpo, by the way.
What type of game are you actually expecting, Lou?
Well, I think we'll dominate the game in large spells. We'll have all the ball, but they'll just sit in a low block and head everything, kick everything clear, and try and play on the break and play for set pieces. I think that's how they play at home. That's how they're going to play here. Yeah. And it's the way they've got to do it, because they haven't got the quality that we have. And first to Everton, they're a good organised unit and probably got quite a good team and all. And that's why they're doing all right this season, because the squad this season to last season hasn't changed much. And you got to think, I always think Everton did terrible last season. They're actually all right. It was just they didn't have them points on the board. If they had them points, they would have been into the top 10.
Mid-table, wouldn't it really?
Yeah. So I think that's how you've got to look at it. Haven't got the quality. They've got aging lads. Ashley Young might be at left back as well, mightn't he? How's it right back?
How old is he now? 15.
Yeah.
Some plays pro football, so there you go.
Yeah, he got sent off last time, didn't he? So let's get into him. I don't want Joe Bryan to play. He's too big and he's a unit off the set pieces. You know what I mean?
Let's not put McAllister on him.
Yeah, exactly.
That was stupid. That was absolutely ridiculous.
Do you know what though? I actually think they'll start in a mid-block and work backwards. I think they'll end up in their own box defending if we haven't scored lots of goals. But I think they'll play mid-block to begin with, a bit like they did in the Derby away. Mid-block, as soon as we step into midfield, on us, but they'll let Van Dijk and Konate have the ball.
And probably Kwanzaa if he was to play as well.
If he plays, we'll see. It'd be interesting to see what we do there actually. But yeah, I'm confident. So I just think we're better than them. But we're at home. We're at Anfield. We're supposed to win at Anfield. So let's, we're not. You've said this loads of times, Chris, because you get far less emotionally attached to the away games than I do. Like, you go and get a point at Everton sometimes because you just know how hard it is. Whereas at home, you get 3 points. You don't miss. Do you know what I mean? That's where we should be.
Yeah, you can't. You just. The last game we played the occasion too much, I think, didn't we? Like, even though we were dominating at times, they dragged us down into a game that they wanted to play. We've got to do what they did to us. We've got to make them play a game that we're used to playing at Anfield and not change that fact.
I think first 10 you'll know that, because first 10 you'll know if they're either trying to be an organised group or just like, right, let's just get the crowd up and get make it a gritty game. Yeah. First 10 you'll know that straight away. If the Corey goes and it's Jones, that's it, mate. The whole ground's going to be up for it. It's going to be one of them horrible nasty derbies which won't go in our favour, and they haven't done. We've played the occasion too many times in the past, and United comes to mind. You know what I mean? We need to just forget it's Everton. It's just another football team. It's another 11 lads in front of us. Let's just play them off the park like we have done all season.
Yeah, absolutely. On to the side then, Sam. Is it as simple as Kwanzaa plays right back and the rest of the side picks itself?
I don't know, because it depends on who you're playing against. So I understood why Kwanzaa came on right back when Trent got injured. It was just the easy sub to make and there was no thought behind it.
But you've had a couple of weeks.
In the final, again, it was just like, he's a good player, he's solid. And he didn't do too badly, he's just not got a great output. But I do wonder, like, I've seen cup games, I've seen the likes of Curtis play there, and he's done a good job. And if he's not going to play in midfield, why not? Like, what is Curtis that bad defensively, or does he not understand the structure that much that he can't do it? But when we're on the ball, we need more quality from there, because that whole side's been pivotal to this team before and during the Slot era, in that Trent, the creative outlet, but his balls into the middle of the park and beyond the front player has been fantastic. Salah benefits from having a ball playing player there. He struggles when he's got a real rigid defender in Kwanzaa there. So I do wonder whether he does do something a little bit different, because I don't really think we've got that much to lose. So that he probably should play and probably will play Kwanzaa, but I would like to see him be brave here and maybe play someone like Curtis right back and
kind of sets the tempo, if
be on
nothing
the
else,
front
doesn't
foot.
it?
And he's a scouser who loves it and he's got a point to prove. And I don't think he'll go out there and do a 2-footer challenge on Decore. I think he'll go out there and try and get a goal or try and get an assist. I think that's the mindset he's in at the moment in his career. So I would want to see him do something a bit different. I mean, look, if Bradley's fit, even better. But I don't think he will be, or at least ready to start anyway.
The one thing that I would maybe look at changing from that is, and it's probably a reason to sort of play Kwanzaa there, because when we play Trent there, Szoboszlai has to do so much work going back towards that he doesn't get forwards enough. I think if you do play like a Kwanzaa there, potentially, Luke, you unlock a little bit more of Szoboszlai's game in the attacking sense, and if you are going to be dominating the ball and everything else, kind of want Szoboszlai not having to think about, I've got to run back, whereas you might do with Jones.
Yeah, it'll give him a little bit more freedom, won't it, if you've got Kwanzaa at right back. I think the argument I'd make for Kwanzaa at right back is actually that if it does get drawn into a gritty game, he's just a bit of a bigger lad.
Yeah,
and I know we had the stuff like, he didn't win his duels against Ipswich first game, blah, blah, blah. He's just a bit of a more bigger physical lad than Bradley is. I think that's the only argument I'd make for him. I think I've come in here loads and said if Trent's there, we've lacked creativity because it does his absence. And then I think Szoboszlai sometimes gets caught in two minds, especially when he's got like the more of a fullback behind him. I don't think he forgets. I think he's just so drilled into play a certain way. Sometimes he doesn't realise how much freedom he has when Bradley is sitting there and sitting a bit deeper. So I think it's difficult. I think I'd pick Kwanzaa. I know you said you'd pick Jones.
I'd probably pick Kwanzaa. Yeah. No, I do take it though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having someone who wants to cross the ball, get forward, help Salah out and all that type of stuff. You can definitely do that better than Kwanzaa can't he? So it is interesting. I think the rest kind of picks itself though, apart from the centre forward. I think we're going to have that conversation again, aren't we, Sam? Because, Gakpo looks like he's fit again.
Yeah.
Which he certainly didn't look like he was fit last time he pulled on a red shirt. Last 2 times he pulled on a red shirt, actually. Gakpo's been favoured on that left-hand side, which leaves a spot up front for somebody, doesn't it?
So, all things just being about football, I think Núñez should just play, because I just think he's a centre-forward who does centre-forward things. And when you're a centre-half, no matter what level you play at or whatever quality, you do not want a centre-forward who's a threat running in and around you, buzzing around you. What you want is, from a team like Everton, is whoever's up front to be not that quick or to be dropping in out your way. Because you're going, I'm not coming with you, you're my midfield problem now. I'm just going to make sure no one goes beyond my line. And that's what Everton did. So, for me, I think Núñez... He's a far better footballer than we've seen this season, I think. I think he's capable of a lot more.
Do you think there's a problem with the manager?
I think there's a problem with the manager and him. I think there's a problem with his future. I think it all plays in together. I think that he's been, to Liverpool's benefit, grossly mismanaged by this manager. But to Liverpool's benefit, so therefore, why would we change that? We wouldn't.
Yeah.
But if we're just looking at him in isolation, he could have backed him all season and just played him. We haven't really gained anything by him not playing. Maybe the odd game Diaz played really well, but Diaz is a good footballer anyway. But there's nothing Jota's done this season where I go, yes, that's what we need. He's a good footballer. But I think if you want to get the best out of Núñez, or whoever comes in when he likely leaves in the summer, you've got to say, right, you're my guy, you're going to get back, you're going to play until you definitely aren't the right person for me. So I would go back to that and play Núñez and get him amongst the defenders to create more space for Salah, whoever's in midfield, etc., etc. But I don't know if Slot's going to do that because he keeps picking Jota.
What about you, Luke?
I think counter arguments like...
Because we know Sam loves Darwin.
Yeah, I think if it is the gritty game, like I spoke about before, if Darwin's in there, I'm just too scared he'll just lose his head and just do something daft. And he did it against Southampton and got away with it, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to play into the manager's selection. I think the manager might pick Diaz again and do that sort of false nine, sort of stuff that he hasn't really done in any of his systems before he came to Liverpool. So I don't know why he's trialled it this season, but it has worked sometimes. Maybe Diaz hasn't been electric, but he's linked the play quite well. I'd love Federico Chiesa to play centre forward, but he won't do it.
Is he a forward though as well? I've seen that a bit.
Think,
he just knows where the goal is, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He knows where the goal is, that's for sure. He shoots a lot when he's on the pitch.
I just think try it. I don't think he will. If I'm Slot, he'd probably fix Jota or Diaz, but I'd just love to see Federico Chiesa in the 9 and just see what he can do. And if he's rubbish, drag him off after an hour and at least we've tried something, you know what I mean? Because we're lacking there, we really are at the minute, and he's got pace. The big P.
That's what it's about, isn't it? That's why I say Núñez, by the way. And I take what you're saying about it's just the speed. I just need somebody, because if he makes a run, even if he's miles offside, Salah might just get a bit of room. Branthwaite's considering going left, right, do I go back with him, do I step out? And Salah gets a bit of space and score, or McAllister or Szoboszlai. That's what, it's the fine margins for me. I just don't think you get that. My issue with Diaz, and it was the same in the first half, and it really annoyed me, is he's played the Firmino role without watching the Firmino videos. When Bobby was not getting in the game, he would come and drop in and make almost like a second pivot in the midfield. They wouldn't know what to do because you got 4 men in there and they'd be overrun. He weren't doing that. He was just dropping into the number 10 space, and we had 2 number 10s and no way getting the ball there. And it was just a waste of time. So if he's going to play that position and drop in, he's got to drop right in, overload the midfield, so we've got an extra man in there to break. If he's going to play Diaz, not half and half, do it.
Yeah. Well, I think Jota is exactly the same. He sort of half and half does it. He was doing it in the cup final, and it was working. But that's why we didn't switch it quick enough, because he was sort of doing, you did it on the deep dive, didn't you, Chris, where they were pulling in, and you should have sowed the viz with it coming in and like the following. Everton aren't going to do that. Newcastle did. Jota was dropping in. They were following. It was creating space. We were trying to go long. I understood the game plan. It just didn't work. That's not going to work against Everton. No. So it's really difficult. If Diaz is dropping in deeper, they're not going to follow him. They're just going to sit there in the back four and say, you have the ball there, mate, because you're nowhere near the goal. You know what I mean? You play it backwards, you play it sideways. We'll just stay here and we're not going to move.
I can't believe I'm saying this, right? But there's also a thing for Darwin where he gets the ground up. Like big time, doesn't he?
I think sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes he gets puts in a big challenge, as runs through, maybe he misses, he scores with it, he gets the ground up massively, misplaces a pass, everyone hates him. It's one of them. It's 50-50.
I think they're quite kind on him in the ground. I mean, I've always been a supporter of his, and I'm at the stage now where I feel like he probably does need to leave for himself and for the club's sake. In fact, I think he should. But I do think in the ground we've probably been overly kind. Like, I've been one of his biggest supporters, and I don't go Núñez when he wins a throw. It seems like I see people who go, why do we do that? And then they see the mouth moving, Núñez. When they're doing, like, you're doing it though. Like, if we have balance, let's make him earn his Núñez's. Make him earn them.
I
you
said
might get
that
more.
18 months ago. I stopped shouting his name when he wins a corner. I was just like, score a goal and I'll sing your name, lads.
Yeah, no,
that's it for me.
Or do something amazing.
I think
in the
he's
game.
crap. I think he's shit, mate. I really do. Like, I just don't think he's very good, and I don't think he has ever been very good for us.
Fair enough.
But I can see games where you do need his pace, and I think that's the difference between us and Paris Saint-Germain and us and Real Madrid this season. Speed, man. And if we want to get back to winning European trophies regularly, we've got to have the speed, because good teams can defend. But pace will always hurt another side, especially if they have the ball and you want to break. That's why we were so good in 17-18, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
We just had the pace to go, and that's what Paris Saint-Germain reminded me of, our 17-18 side, where they would break and everyone's absolutely fucking panicking because they've got 3 lads doing this, and that's what we were amazing at. But we've just, unfortunately, because players age and players leave and stuff, we've gotten away from that. We found ourselves with, you know, Diaz, I don't think's very fast. I think he's all right on the ball. I think he's quite quick on the ball. I think Gakpo's quite quick on the ball, but I wouldn't say he's a pace setter in terms of just running without the ball. Salah's nowhere near as fast as he was. Now, that helps us in the Premier League because we can control games, we're clever and all that type of stuff. When you come against top European sides, I don't think it hurts them enough, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Blister and pace, it's massive. And again, it's the thing coming back to what we have got is intelligence, and I think Jota's a very intelligent footballer, and I feel sorry for him a little bit because he's been asked to do a job that he probably never thought he'd be doing this time 2 years ago. I know he played a bit up front, but he was always off the left or in a 2 when we were struggling to get goals. And I think in a 2 this year he's done quite well. I think he bagged a couple against West Ham. He came on and played number 10 against Forest and had like 3 chances and scored the header off the corner. I think when he's had a striker especially it's been Núñez, sort of just occupying the centre half, even if he's not doing anything, he benefits from that space. Now, if you bring Jota on with 25 minutes to go, regardless to the game state, I can see him being almost too clever for the tired players. And I think we've missed that a little bit in the last 3 or 4 fixtures because we've had this sort of real, you know, he's going to play and Núñez isn't. But then you hear things like Núñez wouldn't be playing if we had other options because of what he's done and has happened this year, and he tried to leave in January. So it's very difficult for us. As I said, football on its own is one question, but we don't know. We're not there week to week in the training and seeing who's doing what. So I think he'll pick Jota. Or Diaz, actually, one of them 2. I don't think he'll pick Núñez, but I would pick Núñez. Okay,
well, we'll move it on then. Before we do, we've got a quick competition for you to get involved in, where you can design us a new logo for our 15th anniversary.
Hey, are you a young artist or designer? We've got a fun competition for you if you are. In April, we are celebrating 15 years of Redmen TV on YouTube. Since its inception, the Redmen logo has gone through a ton of iterative upgrades, back from the very, very first one that I hand drew myself and was hand painted on a red bed sheet by my wife, and the more modern updates delivered by Kitster. Since then, it went through a variety of updates as well. It was very briefly a circle bird and said RMTV. Eventually, we amalgamated the designs, and that was the shape of things that went on the front of AFC Liverpool's kit when they appeared in the FA Cup on the BBC. During that period, 5 stars became 6. We added a crown to celebrate Liverpool winning a first Premier League, and sadly 96 became 97 with the passing of Andrew Devine as well. We've been on some incredible highs, incredible lows, and a wonderful journey over the last 15 years, and we want a way to celebrate that journey. So if you've got any cool designs, any cool ideas, you can enter them into this competition. We've seen European Cups, Club World Cups, Super Cups, big 50 pences, the Premier League title, the works whilst working on Redmen. And now, we are looking for someone to help us bring that all together in a celebratory design that really puts the history and the future of Redmen TV right in front of everyone for the world to see. When all the designs and ideas are in, we're going to choose the best one, and the winner will receive a cool Redmen TV prize bundle, a £500 voucher to redmenmerch.com, a year's subscription to Redmen Plus, and a Liverpool kit of your choice for you, a friend, a child in your life, whatever you want. To enter, simply click the link in the post or in the comments section underneath for all the terms and conditions, prizes, assets, and more as well. Thank you so much, and hopefully together you can help us celebrate 15 years of Redmen TV on YouTube.
So just because it's been a thoroughly depressing show because of the Trent Alexander-Arnold stuff, I'm going to throw this one at you. Madrid want Jurgen Klopp, gents. How does that make you feel, Luke?
The thing is, right, this is where people are going to be like, the Trent stuff, this is totally different, isn't it?
But what if it wasn't? Massive... What if it wasn't, Luke?
It's totally different. If Jurgen Klopp goes to Real Madrid, I will be more than happy for him. And this is where it's mad, because people will be looking... because I just think, right, the way I'm looking at it is he left the club at the right time. It was the right time for him to leave. It really was. And he's never, ever had the opportunity to just say, there's an open checkbook, do what you like.
I don't think that's Jurgen Klopp, though.
Yeah, that's why he didn't go to United, though, isn't it?
I don't think he'd go. I don't think he would go.
No, I don't.
He said loads, and that's not for him.
Fair enough. It's just different. It's an interesting dynamic as well, because imagine he did go and he gets Trent. That's mad, isn't it?
Imagine Trent knew.
That's mad. That's what I'm saying. People will be like, this was orchestrated 2 years ago. Yeah. That's why Klopp only signed him to a 4-year contract. Yeah. He knew when he was going to leave, and he was going to go over there and pick up Trent Alexander-Arnold and all the others. He finally got Mbappe. Yeah. Jurgen knew about that as well. That's why Liverpool didn't sign Mbappe in whatever year he was supposed to be.
Chouameni's there.
8 years.
Chouameni, Rudiger, all of them, all the good players. That'd be funny.
No, like, I can't imagine that Jurgen goes to Madrid at all, but it did get me thinking about tangentially, it got me thinking. In fact, Sam, before I do that, how would it make you feel?
All right, it's different with Klopp because he's not a Scouser. It'd be a bit weird how he said, like, I don't really want to manage, I don't think I'll manage club football again. Real Madrid's not the type of club for me. I don't like that sort of, I don't know what authoritarian kind of, where the king dinglings. I think he quite likes and always had liked. This is where a lot of our FSG out fans kind of never understood it with Klopp. You've let Klopp down. I think Klopp quite liked being let down because I think he quite liked the challenge. Maybe, obviously, everyone's got ups and downs and what they're unhappy here and there, but I think he quite loved being at a club that was massive, that also didn't have the same as what everyone else. It was a point to prove, and it was an extra bit of fire in the belly. I don't think he'd enjoy stepping out to the Bernabeu, looking around, having everything you could ever need in front of you. You've already done all the hard work with all the other clubs and being like, well, what am I actually like? What am I getting from this? Like, I don't think him winning a European Cup with Madrid would matter to him. I don't know. I feel like with us, it was the world.
Yeah, I think if he wanted to get out of Liverpool, and he did look tired and he did look stressed at the end of it.
Looks happy now.
He looks happy now. Of course he is. He's fucking made up. He's playing paddle every day. He's just fucking jetting round doing whatever the hell he wants, living in a boss place in an island off Spain, or whatever. And he's just loving life. Could imagine anywhere else worse to go than Real Madrid, and the stress and the pressure of all of that, because winning the league's not enough.
No.
You can't just win a league and a cup there. You've got to win the European trophy every single season. How many years he got, I don't know, of that in him anyway. But it did get me thinking tangentially about the multi-club ownership side of things. Because obviously Liverpool have been linked with Malaga this week, haven't we? Yeah, about potentially buying them. They're in the second division of Spanish football. And then it got me thinking about, I wonder why Jurgen's doing this for RB, the Red Bull group at the moment, but Liverpool never really mooted that as a thing. And it got me thinking about Michael Edwards, Luke, and like the rumours of the bit of a fallout, I say a big fallout between like the nerds and Jurgen Klopp and stuff. And so it feels like Liverpool kind of sided with the nerds anyway.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I can't believe you just referred to them as the nerds.
Chris being one of them.
The data nerds who sort out all the contracts.
Fucking clever fuckers, basically.
Yeah, they are clever fellas. And I do think there was probably a big fallout there, and I imagine we'll learn about that. I reckon someone will write a book or something at some time. We'll learn why Edwards left and come back and what it had to do with Henderson and the rest of it. The multi-club ownership model, I'm not really a fan of it. Like, I understand it'll benefit Liverpool massively. I do get that. But if you're a Malaga fan and you're not just thinking like, this is rubbish now because all our best players are going to end up at Liverpool. Like that's the way I'd look at it. I don't think it's really fair, to be honest.
Does it transpire that way though? Has it really transpired that way?
Well, it's transpired that way with City at the minute. They've got Salvino, haven't they?
Was he from Girona, was he?
I think Girona owned him, but he was on loan at Bordeaux or something stupid like that.
But I don't think, on the grand scheme of things, they've still been able to be a Champions League club and stuff, haven't they? Which was never the case before.
But they shouldn't have been a Champions League club. That got kicked through. Like,
we know that, but I mean, in terms of the quality, though, is that?
I think you're right if you make that argument about any other league other than Spain, because I don't think Malaga ever actually have dreams of them being able to win a league title. Like, you know what I mean? Just because it's Real Madrid and it's Barcelona, and it's always been Real Madrid.
They were good though for about a year.
Yeah, well,
Santa Cruz.
Yeah, they were.
They got a load of money. That's why.
And I remember Deportivo were amazing in like the early noughties and stuff like that, and all that type of stuff. So teams do it. Valencia, obviously under Rafa, they get up there. Atletico have stayed probably at the top longer because of their manager. Actually, someone in the comments there said he's more likely to join Atletico Madrid than Real Madrid.
Yeah,
I actually completely agree with that. That's a club that would feel right. But the multi-club ownership model, I think you're right. I think generally speaking, it's just shit for the smaller clubs and the fans of them, because you're essentially saying, don't matter how good we do, we're always down the pecking order.
Yeah. Yeah, you're bottom of the food chain, aren't you? You know, especially if you're coming in low. I get it a bit more, say if you've got like one club per continent or something like that. I feel like that's not...
That would be better. You're not competing.
Yeah, because what's the likeliness to say we had RB late, he's 19 and we were going to loan him out to Brazil? You just wouldn't do it, would you? You know what I mean? And people, they could still make the revenue in that way and then say, you could bring players over because there's not that much money over there, you know what I mean, in terms of like what there is here. But when you've got like, in 4 clubs in Europe or in top leagues, you're just bouncing players between them all, and that's how it's going to end up. The Red Bull model's great, and they're making all the best players ever. But is it really fair? It's probably not just.
They were the weird. You could see it because Red Bull Leipzig were a top seed club this year, weren't they? Because obviously they've benefited from taking the Salzburg players, and what they just use. The thing is, the Salzburg players is they used that as a Brighton. Yeah. And then they use Leipzig as the next step, like an Arsenal, Liverpool, and then obviously you just get the real cream of the crop buying from there. Really, don't you? Like your Arsenal's, Liverpool's, the Man City's,
and they've built that up because I think a few years ago, RB Leipzig was still the last step before a destination, whereas now they've got it so good that RB Leipzig actually is becoming a destination in and of itself.
Absolutely is as well. I think what it does, the multi-club model, is papers down what already happens. So, for instance, if you look in the Premier League, there is sections that you cannot be a superstar at Brentford. It's just the model itself, the wages, the structure will not allow it. So they have to move their players on to bigger clubs. But it's not written down. It's not a rule. It's if they could, maybe they would give someone $100,000 a week's wages, but they don't. What this does is it actually says, like you said, Malaga is the second choice level to Liverpool. It actually puts you in a box and says that's what you are. And I say, as you say, as fans, some might be like, I feel better now because we're probably more solid, but others will be like, well, that just takes away our open ceiling.
Yeah, and I think that's it for me. Is I generally speaking, I like the competitive nature of sport. It's what I've always enjoyed, and anything that goes against it being an actual true competition for me goes, oh, that's shit. That, like, you know what I mean? It's terrible. But equally, as a Liverpool fan and just a Liverpool fan, taking my view of that out of it, it is 100% better for us because you can circumnavigate players into Europe to get them into you, all that type of stuff, Luke, can't you? And clearly it's better for Liverpool Football Club that we have someone else and more teams to follow, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we'll use it. And also, it's really good for the players, you know. Like, imagine, like, you're 16, 17 signing, like, a pro deal. You've got to, you know, your pathway. It's mapped out in front of you. You know where you're going to be at what time. You know if you kick on here and there's a move coming here. It sort of plans out your life. I feel like people want that. Sometimes you want that security, don't you? To sort of know what the plan is ahead. Yeah, we might come off it at one point, but there's sort of stepping stones in place for me to succeed here and become like one of the best players ever. And I think that's the way you want to look at it, and that's the way Liverpool work. I think everyone will go to the RB model. City are already at the RB model. They've got enough teams already, and that is the way football's going to go. So
yeah, you've got to keep up with the Joneses ultimately, haven't you? Okay, I haven't spoken to you two about this type of stuff. So how are you feeling, Sam, about the squad at the moment? And thinking about the summer?
Yeah, so I think we've got a fantastic squad. I think the reason why we haven't won any trophies yet isn't because I think our squad's not been good enough. I just think timing, a bad game at Wembley, stuff like that. I think normal football things that we just spoke about, the competitive edge of the game has hit us. You know, we lose on penalties to one team with a couple of tired legs and injuries around a really tough period. We get stitched up by a draw because PSG didn't turn up in the Champions League first half of the year. That happens, you know. City got Real Madrid. How unlucky is that? You know what I mean? Of all the teams, we lose in a cup final when we just didn't turn up and we just looked tired. It can happen. I don't think that reflects the depth of the squad. I think what does reflect more with the squad is how the manager's chosen to use it. Now, I find it fascinating how people talk about trust. Well, I've watched these players for years and I've trust some of them to play who haven't been playing. I've seen them compete in the biggest games.
Like Harvey Elliott.
Endo, you know, other players, well, we haven't seen him enough cases, but other players have played lots of football previously and he's decided not to use them as much this year, which is his prerogative. But the idea is suddenly slims down our squad to being not very good and not good enough. We need to buy 8 players this summer when people were saying 1 or 2 before Christmas. I think that hasn't changed. I just think the dynamics of it might differ a little bit coming up. So I'm calm about it. I've got a newfound love again. I did like Endo last year, but I'm loving him even more now. He's become a little bit of a cult hero. You know, I think Jones has really catapulted himself back into being a top player again this season. Gakpo's on another level than he has been before. So I think there's loads of positives from this year. I'm quite calm, and there's a few things that I think we need to do in the summer that I think we will do. But not as wild as some of the suggestions would be.
You know.
Yeah, I'm wild, yeah.
On the wild I feel like you've just sat in the middle and me and Luke have agreed all show.
Do you want me to go into more detail on what I think we should do?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
okay, so I think it's dead obvious we need to sign a left back. I think Robertson's a fantastic servant, and I think he's coming to the end of his elite career. I think we're now accepting average performances. Robbo was good the other day, weren't he? When Robbo himself would look back and think I was all right, but reality is we've not seen elite Robbo for 2 seasons or a season and a half, maybe a full season from now. So I think we need a new left back. I think the like Kirkes just ticks all the boxes. I don't think we need a centre back unless we sell one. I just think we've got 4. We've got Endo. This is the world of you need 5 centre backs and lads just sat in the training ground waiting for an injury. Just doesn't exist in football. Trent looks like he's going to leave. We need to sign a right back. I don't know who that is. The easy option is someone like, is it Frimpong?
Yeah.
But again, I'm not sure if he's stylistically right for us. Unless you're going to play Harvey Elliott right wing, then it's an absolute glove in my opinion because he just does all the running. Harvey tucks inside. You've kind of got that balance. But I don't think he's going to do that. So I think we'll sign a right back who will be in and around the similar level to Bradley or maybe just a bit below so that you've got a natural competitive sort of developmental position. And I think we need a striker. I wouldn't sell Diaz. But if we do, we might need to replace him. But he might just play Chiesa left wing in Gakpo's absence and use Harvey Elliott as a substitute for Salah along with Chiesa as well and give him a bit more game time. I don't think it'll be drastic as sell Diaz, replace him, sell Nunez, replace him, sign a left back, sign a centre back, sign a right back. I think he'll bring in one of the centre backs in the summer. Either McConnell will get more minutes or he'll bring Bacchetis back in. I don't think he'll close the door on that. So I think I can see us signing, if Trent's the only one who leaves, a left back, a right back and a centre forward.
Okay, yeah. I don't disagree with any of
That's
your
just
arguments.
Liverpool never do what we think they're going to do.
The same. So my argument was the same at left back. It's also that we should maybe look at the free agent market a bit, like everyone else is looking at. I can't see a world where Liverpool pay 110 to 140 million for Alexander Isak or Julian Alvarez. I would love us to do so. I'd absolutely love it, but We won't do it. Let's be realistic here. We're not going to do it. Jonathan David apparently is out of contract this summer. This is my source here. This is Anfield, by the way.
No, Jonathan David is out.
Yeah,
he's right. Yeah.
So he's out of contract this summer.
He's on Arsenal's radar now as well.
Yeah, Ola Aina's out of contract this summer. Tariq Lamptey's out of contract this summer. I think they're all targets that Liverpool could look at.
Aina's a good shout, you know.
He is, and then I also put it right back. I can't say his name. He's the Dutch lad who's played for Feyenoord. Just gone to Leipzig. I think he'd be hard to get out of Leipzig.
Was he the captain of Feyenoord last year? Gertrude.
He's the most capped player.
We nearly signed him last summer, you know.
Yeah, he's the most capped player under Arne Slot. Yeah. He's played the most games for Arne Slot in Arne Slot's career. So I think he'd be the go-to. I think Frimpong, Trent's not the ideal slot right back, and I think Frimpong is the best like-for-like replacement you're going to get for Trent. He's nowhere near Trent in terms of ability, but like-for-like replacements, he's the one you go to. But I think he wants more of a right-back, and I think that Gertrude, I think he's more of a right-back.
I think what Slot wants from his full-backs is peak Andy Robertson on both sides.
Yeah.
Just lads that go... and
do that Bradley,
fucking day, mate. All day, like. My worries around the squad are very... I feel very similarly to you, but I have so many more concerns because of the injury history of Konate and also how long's left on his contract. I mean, you got Alisson, you got Konate, you got Bradley all ending at the end of 27. So we're about to enter into that 2-year period. You've obviously got Diaz there as well. Harvey Elliott's contract runs out at the end of 26-27 as well. So there's loads of players there that all need to either have new contracts or get sold. And I think that's where Liverpool are probably looking at it going, you might be able to get 40-50 million for Harvey Elliott. They might take that and think I can reinvest that in a better place because this lad hasn't even got like our 400 minutes in the Premier League this season. So if I can get 40-50 million quid for him, I back the manager to get someone that he wants more for that dough. I think the centre-back thing is the Konate, the Joe Gomez injury stuff. Kwanzaa's still young. I would probably buy another one. And you're still future planning for Virgil van Dijk and when he leaves. Salah, I think you've at some point got to sign a backup right back. Backup right winger. Fucking hell, like, I mean, come on.
Problem is, they just don't win games.
I know. We just don't play him.
I know, it's mental.
That's the problem.
Yeah, well, but at some point you've got to. But left, Diaz I don't think is going to sign a new deal, so I think he's going to get sold. Nunes is going to get sold. I wouldn't be surprised if Bajcetic got sold.
Yeah.
I put Bajcetic as a keep because I think he'd sell Tyler Morton instead, just because I think he'd have more value because he's English. If you sell him to an English side, he takes up an English slot, so you don't have to register him, do you, for any European competitions?
We've got to remember, our midfield 3/4 is so good. I know they're tired and that, but they're so good. They probably walk into most teams in world football. All of them, I know people won't agree with that, but all of them do. I think that we're not looking for another Grav. But Zubimendi comes in and doesn't play that many games now, which is why I think Bajcetic and McConnell together are just perfect. Bajcetic is more experienced, so can play more games. He's physically big enough. He can do the whole backup, and then McConnell, you just continue his development.
Yeah.
If we sell Bajcetic, you're buying another player you ain't going to be competing with Graf because he's too good. You're coming in to basically be his number 2, and you've got Endo as well. I think that whole midfield unit just rolls over again.
Yeah, the only reason I've got potentially because he's still homegrown for us, isn't he? Am I right in saying that?
That's true.
Because he comes,
because
he's come through our academy. He's homegrown for us, and then Morton would be an English slot for any other team in the Premier League.
It's a good shout.
So then obviously he's probably worth an extra 10 million on that if you sell, because there's a scenario, isn't there, where there's going to be 8 English clubs in Europe next season, so they're all going to want a couple of English lads in the window, aren't they, to rotate around. So I think he's worth more. I also think Ben Doak will get moved on just as a cash grab, because if we are going to spend a lot of money, we're going to have to move players on, and that's the sad reality of it.
Kelleher.
Kelleher's going to obviously get moved on. He's going to be a bit of money in. Harvey Elliott, I'd love to pick.
Alisson, did you say?
Alisson nearly left last summer. People
I think
stuff doesn't always come out. Alisson was leaving last summer. Everybody who had any salt in the game was saying we expect Alisson to leave Liverpool this summer, but it just didn't happen. I can see Ali winning the league and going. I genuinely can.
I could see that as well. You know, there was one member of the coaching staff from Jurgens who stayed around, and it was to placate Alisson Becker. And that was Taffarel, wasn't it? He's the only person who stayed from the last coaching staff, and I think it was because all of his mates got off.
Yeah. I reckon Alisson sees the remainder of his deal out.
I hope so.
I can't see a world where Alisson goes to Saudi Arabia just giving out religious years and stuff like that. And he's already said he wants to finish his career back in Brazil at Internacional. I reckon he just runs his contract down and goes there for free.
Maybe, yeah.
I reckon Liverpool would be seriously interested if 100 million dropped on the table for Alisson.
Because they'd bring in Mohamed Ashveli as the number 1 and they'd just sign a number 2. And we'd go from having 2 number 1s to a number 1 and number 2 like most teams do. Yeah. I agree with you, Chris, to be honest, though. Like, That's what I would do in terms of I'd just up level left back. Obviously, you can't up level right back, but I'd up level the gap, and I would have an up leveled striker. But I actually think you're right. I think that there's going to be more nuances to it that then lead us to do more business. But I don't want it to be too detrimental because you could end up changing 7 players, and that's really hard in a squad. Yeah. Really hard.
In my head, I had it as something like 5 or 6 outs, and that means you need 8 ins. And there ain't a hope in hell that Liverpool do that in the summer. Do you think? Just don't think Liverpool do it. I just don't. We just don't do that much business in summers, do we?
There's one caveat to this though that could change everything, and it's that if Liverpool build the next team around Salah's going to be missing for 8 to 10 games next season minimum.
Yeah,
that's a big thing to do, and then him go missing for one of the most key parts of the season. And then you've got the follow on of that, which is going to be difficult.
I think that's maybe playing a part of his contract negotiations. Well. Maybe Liverpool are playing a bit of hardball around the AFCON because
you've got to not go.
Yeah,
retire.
Either you've got to not go, or maybe like, we're not paying you while you're there, or something. Just something daft like that.
You just don't want to say to him, listen, you've had your best chance of winning.
Yeah,
this shit. Like, let's just call it a day, mate. But there's no way he'll do that. He feels too strongly about it, and fair play to him for that.
Yeah, and then the World Cup at the end of the year is going to add legs to him as well. So I agree. I think that's fair. But we've got to build a team next year around Salah, and our transfers are going to be built around Salah. But then he's not going to be here for one of the biggest parts of the season. So can you build your team, or does it have to be a new team that Salah fits into and plays a part in? That then when he does go, all right, it's not going to be anywhere near as good, but the team can just carry on. Because
I think Liverpool buying a striker kind of already does that. It tells Salah you're the creator again.
I hope
because
so,
this season's been exceptional, obviously, as everybody knows, around Mo and stuff but he still plays that creator role well. Yeah. And this started a few years ago when we signed Nunes. He changed his game then. I think he's all right with that. He's proved already that he's willing to adapt his game. He's not the tip of the spear anymore all the time. He can be that creator. He found that left-footed outside of the boot cross that we never knew he had until a few years ago. I think you just continue that side of things where you buy a centre-forward like an Isak or an Alvarez who goes, we're taking the pressure off you, mate. And then when he goes or when he winds it down, you're in a bit of a better position where you don't need to replace 45 fucking goals from right wing. He's a unicorn. There's no one else out there.
Yeah.
There's no one else out there.
You're right, yeah.
What do you do about Jalal Kwanzaa?
I don't know, because it looks like Slot's trusted them at right back, but like at centre half, does it look like he's trusted them?
Or is that more down to him? Like, if you look at all like Terry and Carvalho, Terry and Cahill, Ferdinand and Vidic, trying to think Arsenal's pair at the moment. Top centre-half pairings don't rotate. They play Champions League and Premier League games. Yeah. And that's what Slot's done. He's kind of gone back to that. And I think we're worried about Konate's injury. He's fine. And, he's had a couple this year. But I think that's what Slot wants. He just wants his pair to just be, they're the pair. So I don't think it's necessarily that much of a slight on Kwanzaa. I just think he's not in the pair. So he's played all the other games.
Oh, yeah.
And he's come on the odd time and we've had to switch. I think Konate's come off a couple of times, hasn't he? But I think it's more about the two who are playing than it is about him.
Yeah.
So I think he stays because of his value as well. But the smart move is to sell Gomez and sign Huijsen because he's got a 50 million buyout clause.
I'm with you. I'm exactly the same. I think we should probably keep Kwanzaa and sell Gomez, given Gomez's injury record as well. And I think Kwanzaa's got more of a sort of uptick in potential and value. And there's not to say in 5-10 years' time, but Kwanzaa's not the starter and he goes on and has this mad career. Yeah. There's nothing that can sort of say, he's not going to be that sort of player, because he really could be, and he shows spells like that sometimes, especially last season. I don't agree with getting Huijsen though. I just think that's the Real Madrid move waiting to happen. And he's
50 million buyouts.
He's set his allegiances already to the Spanish national team. He's going to go to Real Madrid and they're interested. I'd quite like Nico Schlotterbeck from Dortmund. I think he's played a lot of games, hasn't he? He's a left-footed as well, so he'd be the natural sort of successor.
Yeah. I think if we can get Huijsen, though, we'll buy Huijsen. It seems like the football world's going mad over them.
Yeah.
I think if Real Madrid, because they're looking at a new starter, aren't they? Well, they got Militao, he'll be back in the summer, but are they going to bring him in and start him at 19? That's quite a bold move, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not going to play for us. I reckon you bring Schlotterbeck in and you sell Gomez. Schlotterbeck naturally plays quite a lot of games, and Konate maybe rotate a little bit more than what you're suggesting.
Yeah, like, do you want rotation though?
I think sometimes you do. I reckon sometimes you want competition. Yeah, maybe not.
It's this two. I think if you look at all the best teams, City have been a bit weird though, haven't they? They haven't done that.
No,
But in their pomp,
'cause
it
of
was
injuries,
company
though.
and whoever. Yeah.
It is because of injuries. Most teams do like to just play
Just because they don't do as much running as the other players, so they can be a bit more resolute. I don't know much about it. It's a Slotterbeck, you know.
Yeah, he played left back as well, so
Yeah.
I think he's a bit of a utility as well. 'Cause he's a big lad as well. He's about 6'2". So
I think with Liverpool signing someone for 50 million quid who's 19, it's too big a risk for them.
yeah,
I think they'd rather spend 50, 60, 70 million when they're 23 and do it after they've been to, for an example, a Brighton, because they've seen how they've developed. They don't want to take that risk on paying 50 million. You've seen, like, you know, all the injuries that Conor Bradley's going through at the moment because of his body changing and stuff. We remember back to Steven Gerrard going through exactly the same thing and everything else. Even Trent's body changed massively from when he came in to, you know, what he looks like now and stuff. I think they'd just go, I'd rather have a safer bet and pay a little bit more a few years down the line than spend 50 million. Like,
he's gone.
I think the biggest one to back up your argument there, Chris, is Levi Colwill, when we were interested in him, and they were talking stupid money, and we were thinking about paying it, apparently, you know what I mean?
Million,
we never did, you know what I mean? So
last summer, who's the fellow, Lenny Oro, moved to Manchester
Lenny
United.
Oro, yeah.
Liverpool and Real Madrid both apparently interested, and Man United take the risk. Can you say it's honestly pays off right now? Not really, you know what I mean? Although I do think he'd be better in a better side.
Well, Huijsen's obviously at Bournemouth for been brilliant this season. Unlucky at the weekend, maybe, but I think, I wouldn't buy anyone. I'd probably, Gomez getting injured, I think he's a good player. Gomez, I'd keep him. I think he does 3 jobs for us, knows the club, great player, been here 10 years. I don't see why you'd need to change him, but future-proofing's a different question.
I'd only change because he's not available for half the season. And that's most seasons at the minute.
He was fit for 18 months before he got this injury. So if he can do that again, you know, but how much do you need your fourth choice centre-back fit?
I think he's fair choice, though.
Do you?
At the moment, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, okay.
Yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so we've had a little talk about the summer. Don't forget you can join up on Redmen Plus by using the code POD to get 50% off a yearly captain subscription. That's POD. Offer expires 6th of April. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be off on Redmen Plus in around about 10 minutes time for the Biased Football Podcast. We'll be talking about Newcastle's homecoming, or as I've somehow managed to type, how coming?
I like that.
That wasn't even like a joke. That's just a complete mistake.
Hashtag.
I'm TM. Manchester United's apparent overhaul. Arsenal wanting Gyökeres and Isak. The FA Cup. And a few other bits and pieces. Join us on redmenplus.com in around about 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time. Ta-ra.